Welcome everyone to Endgame Finance. Today we have a lot of development regarding Rivian. Rivian has made some major moves. They have announced R2, their second platform vehicle. They've also announced R3. It's going to be even cheaper model that's coming probably in 2027 or a little bit later. However, Rivian made some major announcements, just such as pausing their Atlanta construction factory. That will basically conserve them several $billions while they're rolling out R2 now in the Illinois factory. Rivian Automotive's new vehicle launch, with one crucial twist, seemed to resolve, at least for now, some of the biggest concerns Wall Street had about EV maker cash burn and raising costs. Basically, by making the R2 in the Illinois plant instead of Atlanta plant that hasn't even been built, Rivian is going to save billions of dollars, and they will not need to raise cash, at least for a foreseeable future, because cash burn is slowing down drastically by having R2 produced in Illinois factory. And this makes sense because Illinois factory is not really up to capacity. They can produce probably close to 220,000 vehicles. As of now, they're only producing around 57,000 vehicles. So there's a huge gap. And I'm really glad they took advantage and actually started producing R2 in this factory, because the expertise will translate into the new factory whenever it opens up. Last Thursday, Rivian showed off its next EV, the R2, electric crossover, and its luxury twin. And in a surprise move, it paused the construction of a $5 billion Georgia plant and said it will build R2, a $45,000 mid-sized electric SUV in Illinois. So $45,000 for an SUV is a drastic reduction from vehicles that cost around $100,000. This will open up Rivian to a whole new consumer base. They will open them to a whole new segment. And once R3 is actually released, I believe this will be around $35,000 vehicle. And this $35,000 SUV will be able to reach pretty much everyone that's in the market for purchasing a new vehicle. Rivian executives said they expect to save $2.25 billion with the swap and other cost-cutting measures. Several analysts on Friday praised the cash preservation move, saying that it will ensure Rivian is funded to the start of R2 production without having to raise capital. A stunning strategy shift that reduces risk and saves considerable cash, says Deutsche Bank analyst. So yeah, everyone was pretty much concerned that Rivian would run out of cash and go bankrupt before they can actually produce R2. Now we understand that is not the case, because R2 will be produced in the Illinois plant. So there will be no need to raise more cash to produce this vehicle. They already have the cash on hand, and with the cash they'll save, they'll probably be profitable before they actually open the Atlanta factory. Rivian has been under pressure to reduce its cash burns and cut costs while successfully launching its next-gen EV. And it disappointed investors last month by offering a weak 2024 guidance, which concerned everyone about their cash position. So Rivian is only producing 57,000 units, the same amount they produced last year. And a lot of people were concerned because they burned a lot of cash last year. And if this happened again and again, they would likely be bankrupt within 2 years. Pausing the Georgia factory and shifting R2 production to Normal, Illinois would leave enough cash on hand to work through R2 production and relieve considerable pressure to raise capital in the near term. So all the analysts are really in agreement with this. This was a right move to do. Move the production of R2 to Illinois plant and preserve the cash until you actually have enough vehicles, have enough volume where you're breaking even or at least making some profit before you start burning billions and billions of dollars. We believe this improves considerably Rivian's short-term risk profile, said an analyst. Some execution risk remains. However, investors' focus could rapidly turn back on cost executions and Rivian's path to profitability. So a lot of investors are now actually seeing this company might become profitable. They might have enough cash to pull off their operations, and they might actually be a serious competitor to Tesla. Rivian expects to sell its first R2 in the first half of 2026, so that's still times away. However, if they were building the Georgia factory and building it out there, I believe they projected to start production of R2 in the second half of 2026. On Thursday, the EV maker also showed its future mid-sized electric crossover, the R3. Rivian said it will be cheaper than R2. So we're projecting this R3 to hit around $35,000 base model price. However, if this even goes lower to $25,000 or $30,000 range, this will be a revolutionary vehicle at a very, very appealing price point. And not a lot, pretty much everyone who's in the market for a new car will be able to purchase the R3. I'm estimating R3 will arrive sometime in 2027 or at the latest first half of 2028, which is still some time away. And I hope Rivian really starts ramping up and scaling so they bring this vehicle to the market even quicker. Their EVs are built as adventure vehicles with built-in gadgets and styled as a cross between off-road and luxury vehicles. So this is a very interesting segment. They're basically taking a lot of market from Jeep and a lot of market from Range Rover. This is basically a Jeep and a Range Rover crossover. And R2 will also be just something that builds upon this ideal, this idea that you can have a practical vehicle for driving around the cities, and at the same time you can have an awesome off-roader where you just go to the campgrounds, you go to the desert, you go to the mountains, and you have a reliable vehicle that's also extremely luxurious. Ultimately, the R2 will help propel Rivian to profitability and positive cash flow, as it is based off of lower cost platform, and it will give Rivian expected benefits from increased scale. Bank of America Securities wrote in their note. So they will be able to achieve much higher scale and much higher production of vehicles with R2 being produced in the same factory as R1. And this will drastically reduce the overhead of these factories. These factories are extremely expensive to maintain. Their amortization, basically depreciation of the machines, of the robots that build the cars, is constant expense that's counted towards Rivian's losses. Murphy said that R2 $45,000 price tag was reasonable for its popular vehicle segment. We estimate Rivian addressable market in the United States on a pure pricing basis will increase from 6 to 7% to about 35% with introduction of the R2. Now, a third, almost 40% of the total addressable market, Rivian has a product to sell them. Once R3 is out there, this will increase to around 80%, probably maybe even a little bit higher. But with R3, they will have every price point entry for every buyer that wants to purchase a new vehicle. R2 is in the most popular segment in the United States, mid-size CUV SUV, which bodes well, Murphy said. The vehicle's smaller size could also give it an opportunity to gain traction in international markets. They're typically not receptive of large pickups and SUVs. This is especially true in Europe. If you've been in Europe, if you've seen the roads, they're very small, and a lot of cars are actually very small. Some cities like Amsterdam are mostly even on bicycles, and the streets are extremely narrow, so you can't really have a big F-150 driven in many of these roads. It will take up 2 lanes, the one they're using and the opposing lane. So with a introduction of a smaller SUV, this really addresses the European markets. This will be a huge hit pretty much every country in Europe, just because Europeans are not fans of big trucks. They're not fans of Hummers and F-150s and Dodge Rams. They just don't have those proclivities for those sorts of vehicles. However, they do like really small SUVs. I know Hyundai's SUVs are extremely popular, and R2 will be in a similar size range. So expect this to sell incredibly well in Europe, and I'm talking millions and millions of units, and especially the R3. The R3 will command so much demand in Europe. They will have years and years of backlogs just trying to fulfill this pent-up demand. And it's not even realized yet. Pretty much no one even realizes there's so much demand for R2 and especially R3. Murphy noted that in addition to preserving cash, pushing back the timing of the new Georgia plant, Rivian better utilizes its Normal plant in Illinois. Production at the Illinois facility increases to about 215,000 units per year from around 150,000 units, which was previously expected. So Rivian is drastically increasing the capabilities of the Normal Illinois plant. They're utilizing it much more efficiently, and all of this drives down costs significantly. So expecting the next following quarters just to see Rivian's cash burn go down drastically while their production increases. Now you'll have to take into consideration next 3 months, next 3 to 4 months will be extremely challenging for Rivian. They will shut down some production lines. So it will look like their vehicles are piling up and there's no buyers for them. However, they did say a lot of vehicles produced in Q1 would just sit on the lot because they're waiting for those parts that are coming with the new assembly line efficiency improvements within their factory. Rivian is still in the right place and time with the right product and strategy, the analyst said. The company is one of the most viable among the startup EV automakers with attractive product, solid long-term strategy, and adequate funding well into 2025. You can see how tone and how basically the idea around Rivian is slowly shifting. 2 weeks ago, everyone thought they were going bankrupt. Everyone thought it was over for Rivian, and now all the analysts are extremely upbeat. So you can't take analysts too seriously because they change their minds so often because they have inadequate information. They really cannot they cannot see the whole picture of the company just because they have limited information. And once one person starts piling up with negativity, it usually causes more and more people just to keep piling on and be negative. And that's what happened to Rivian within the last month. And now the tone has completely shifted. Chris McNally at Evercore ISI said that by delaying the construction in Georgia and starting the R2 in production in Illinois, Rivian may reduce its 2024-25 cash burn to about $4.5 billion versus expected $6 or $7 billion. So they're reducing their capital expenditures by about a half by pausing the Georgia factory, and analysts, like I'm saying, are really liking this move. Also potentially delays for the need for extra funding to next year from assumptions that Rivian would have to tap capital markets by the middle of this year. So this is really good. Rivian will not have to raise more cash. If they were to raise cash in the next year, it would completely destroy their stock. Analysts said the R2 and the cheaper R3 could be the EVs that premium US and European consumers would likely want to buy over the next 3 to 4 years based on brand, finish, and platform, McNally said. Tesla has shown little ambition to move into SUV space. Rivian could be one of the few EV SUVs on the market. So Rivian is expected to have the at least near-term monopoly in all the SUVs and all these boxy adventurous SUVs. Tesla has Model Y, but it's not really the same category. So that's it, everyone. I just want to give you a quick updates from Rivian from this week. R2 is coming, R3 is coming. Georgia plant will likely be delayed until 2026, 2027. It will save Rivian billions and billions of dollars in cash burn, and they will not have to start building this factory probably until they're profitable, or at least until they're in the black. So these were all very brilliant moves by Rivian management. So far, I'm very impressed, and they just keep me very, very happy. Every move they do is just such a right move, something I extremely approve. So I'm sticking with this management. If you guys have any questions or thoughts, let me know. We can discuss it. Guys, like, subscribe, and as always, have a great day.